Real estate right now that is about to become worthless. This is what the reports are saying. The news is coming out. The crash is here. It is real estate. We knew it was coming. It's the end. And today we're going to get to the bottom of it. I'm bringing in my in-house expert. Tyler, how are we doing, bro?
Good. How are you, Kris?
Good. Guys, Tyler Bennett, he's my in-house economist. He's my acquisitions dealer. He's helped me purchase over 6,000 properties over the last decade and a half. And brother, if the market's crashing, I definitely want to know. We're going to look at the stats. Let's find out.
Let's find out where.
One shot, not a future for sure. Let's go. I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, not a future for sure. Let's go.
All right, man. This is the headline right here. Your property will be worthless if you own it in these 6 states. But we're also talking about like a crash nationwide because we have a huge problem. We've been needing inventory. The inventory is now starting to mount and we're seeing prices starting to drop and everyone's panicking. They're like, this is it. Yep. We've been waiting for this. We had 2 years of the market going up and up and up and boom, it is freaking over. And today we're gonna basically look at the data and give you our take on it because I think the game is a little bit different than what might be presented. Tyler, I sent you this graph and I think at one look, people are like, oh my gosh, red is blood, blue is democratic, and basically part of the country is dying and about to fall off into the ocean. Let's talk about what this means by virtue of crash because they're talking about inventory and then they're associating that with crash, which may or may not actually be true.
Yeah. So first off, what goes up, what must come down, right? These red states, or especially the western part of the country, prices went up faster than they did in the majority of the rest of the market, right? And so during this COVID madness, prices went crazy. And so now they're softening a little bit. We had no inventory, and now we have a little bit of inventory. So percentage-wise, it seems like we have way too much inventory. But the reality is we still don't have enough.
Well, let's take a look at it. So in these red areas, like I think Phoenix, Arizona is targeted as the worst. It's deep red, it's showing 129%, meaning that the amount of inventory that's been added over the last little bit is up 129%. In other words, the amount of inventory is more than doubled. This is also an area though where they were doing a lot of development. So talk to me a little about the red and then why are we not seeing that same phenomenon happen in the blue areas?
Yeah. So a ton of population growth in these red states. A lot of people moving into these markets, especially with COVID, even more so than they were before, which put a huge strain on inventory. So now you see Arizona up 129% in inventory. Well, they're not even back to pre-COVID levels. So inventory was that low during COVID that now they're just starting to get back. Houses are still selling or moving on the market faster than they were pre-COVID levels. And then you look at the blue states. Well, building didn't happen at the rate that happened in these red states. Population growth, some of them are net negative, right? More people moving out than moving in, so they don't need the inventory there, and so they don't have the shortage.
Since the Fed began to raise interest rates, many housing markets across the country have begun to decline. In general, western states are faring the worst, but many northeastern states are still experiencing steady growth. So I guess at the end of the day, what they're really saying here is if inventory is finally going up, which is something we've wanted, it must mean that prices are coming down. Is that actually true?
Yes, from the standpoint of if inventory is going up, caused by interest rates, so less people are moving from primary to primary, right? That's happening as a result of this. So inventory is going up, so that is going to soften prices. Like it will, but when prices went up 50 or 60% in a 2-year period, giving a little bit of that back, honestly, is probably healthy in the long run. And prices didn't go up at the same clip in all the states in the country.
So ultimately, let's find out how big and how deep this crash is actually going to be.
Oh, a huge crash behind the leaders.
All right, check it out, Tyler. We got another graph right here. Markets in danger of a crash. It's listed from 1 to 16, and it starts with Phoenix, showing it at 167%. What's this graph really telling us?
So really, it's saying where inventory is up means there's going to be a crash. Where inventory is down means there's no crash looming. Excess inventory, demand diminishing, equals home prices coming down. And there's reality to that. I think definition of crash is something we should really look at because really it's giving back some of the gains that were historical gains versus actually a crash coming.
Home inventory measures the supply of active home listings in a given area. With the rapid increase in supply and a gradual decrease in demand, some markets appear in danger of major price correction. In contrast, a few select cities continue to decline in inventory. And in a moment, we're going to take a look at a strange phenomenon here that's happening between Cincinnati, which is actually in the blue, and Phoenix, which is in the red, because guess what? Both of these are technically actually down 9% in price. And the question is, well, is there really a correlation then between more inventory in an area when that's clearly not happening here, and yet prices are still declining? This is about to get interesting because we're going to talk about supposedly the market that should crash the most, right? We're saying inventory is up over 100%. We're clearly talking about Phoenix, its housing inventory. Can you explain a little bit what we're seeing from February 2019 pre-COVID, Tyler, to now what we're seeing post-COVID in the numbers?
So if you look at the graph here, pre-COVID, pretty steady, but February 2019, almost 18,000 homes on the market. Those homes were turning every 2 to 3 months, a pretty normal, thriving real estate market. Well, it went all the way down to just under 4,000 homes on the market. And look where it's at today, 16,778. So in reality, we're not even back to the pre-COVID number of homes on the market or inventory levels. Percentage-wise, though, it's a massive increase. And so a lot of the data, a lot of the numbers are they're focusing on this percentage.
But it's actually it's kind of normal.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, guess what? We're seeing inventory get back to some normalized levels. People are like, well, that just means we got to crash. Well, I'll tell you what happened when inventory went really low, historically so. It shot the values up. So if we do see the values drop a little bit, not maybe all the way, the question is that a crash? Or is that actually more of a correction? Let's take a look at Florida because this is a market that we're actually actively buying real estate in right now.
So I'm going to write this out. So if you look at pre-COVID, okay, inventory levels, it was 7,400 homes on the market in the Orlando MSA. You look at post-COVID or today, right? We are at 6,800 houses on the market. So very similar to the Phoenix market is we're not quite back there yet. Another interesting 2007 pre-crash.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
26,000 houses.
So before we actually went into that crash, there was 26,000 homes. There was way too much inventory.
Way too much inventory.
The market had to crash. We've seen prices, however, shoot up because this inventory number of 7,400 in that area probably was just barely over 1,000.
Yeah.
So when you get too low of inventory in the supply-demand equation, it rockets the price up. Now we're actually just seeing inventory go back to what it was before. Does that mean that we're going to see the prices drop all the way back to what they were before? Do you see that happening?
No, I don't see it. I mean, we're up over 50% in home values, right? We're looking at inventory here. We're not seeing the correlation to home values, but they're up almost 50%. So if we gave 10, 20, 25% of that back, the trajectory of a normal 5 to 8% appreciation, we're still ahead of pace.
And mark my words, I'm making predictions all the time on my channel for as long as my social media has ever run. And I'm telling you, stamp of approval on what Tyler's saying here. We're not going to see the market, quote unquote, crash back to what its pre-COVID levels were in pricing. So let's put some conclusion to the first point in this video, which is inventory. Guys, it's one metric. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh no, change in inventory means that we're going to have a price correction must. Although inventory levels are changing rapidly in some areas, this is only one indicator of the way the housing market is headed. For example, in both Phoenix and Cincinnati, remember Phoenix is up over 100%, Cincinnati is down 12%, two markets whose inventories are headed in opposite directions, and yet both have experienced a 9% decline in home prices in recent months. It's not a perfect corollary.
Yeah, and really what you need to bring in behind the scenes here is interest rates. Right? Interest rates plummeted during COVID and demand went up, purchasing went up, inventory went down. Now interest rates are exploding up, which means inventory is going to go up because demand is down. So even though inventory levels as a general are up in one market, down in one market, prices are coming down in both markets almost exactly the same, Kris, because of those interest rates.
So, and I'm even curious, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but brother, check it out. If the Fed wasn't increasing their interest rates and if we were back to what they were at the start of the year, do you think we'd see any of this madness happening anyway?
None. Like, inventory levels would stay low because people would have just continued to buy.
Would have driven price higher and higher and higher. And the question is, do you think the government did the right thing to control inflation by raising those rates?
100% to control inflation.
Yeah, it controls inflation, and it also means that we've allowed rents to catch up to those increasing prices. If prices come down a little bit, and here's my big question for you today. If prices make a somewhat correction, maybe 20% or 30% from the lower than the massive gains that they made, if the market's up 50% and they come back 10, 15%, what does this overall mean for a cap rate as an investor buying property? What is a better buy, today or a better buy a year ago?
Yeah, very good question. Because if you just looked at interest rates, you would think you were better off buying 6 months ago, 8 months ago than today. However, the homes were more expensive and the rents were lower. Today, the rents are higher because rents have continually gone up and the homes are cheaper. So the cap rate's actually better today than it was 8 months ago.
So we are going to have to answer this question. Is now still the right time to buy real estate?
Hey, how you doing, love mama? Let me whisper in your ear. Tell you something that you might like to hear. It's free real estate.
So let's not talk about demand and its shifts from just the last 9 months. Let's actually back up 2 or 3 years to pre-COVID and check this out. Because this is Phoenix again, but this is 2020. This is right around COVID era. And in January, prices were 275 grand. And then look at what happened over 2 years when they came up all the way to a high of $469,000. Now the correction is saying, oh, we're down 9%. We're at 430,000. And the question is, this growth rate, it wasn't sustainable. Now it's correcting some. We don't know how much it's going to correct, but how unhealthy or healthy is this in relation to being a crash or a correction?
Yes. Great question, because let's assume this would have gone up 10% a year. Above average, that would be 325,000 or 350, right? Which would have been above average appreciation. We know what COVID did, and it just exploded values because of interest rates. So definitely not a crash. Definitely a correction, Kris, of giving a little bit of that back. And we could honestly give some more of that back and still be on a healthy trajectory that's more sustainable and more long-term.
Every day, Tyler, amongst my partners, the number one question I get asked is, oh no, interest rates are up, so should I be waiting? Because there's this mindset where I'm like, bro, we're trying to buy a property and make 30, 40% a year on our money. Anything over 25% is amazing. And they're thinking, oh no, but if the interest rates are up 1 or 2 points, does that really actually stop the game? In other words, should you be buying real estate right now, or should we be waiting for a correction?
Buy now. Let me tell you why though, Kris. If you look at buying 8 months ago, interest rates were lower, values higher, rents lower. So you buy today, it's a better cap rate. Rents are up, values are down a little bit, but there's a little bit less cash flow because rates are up. But we have to remember there's 4 profit centers inside of real estate. There's the cash on cash return, which is because of the interest rate. It can go up or down, but there's depreciation, tax savings, there's principal reduction, and there's appreciation. So when you look at a 30, 35, 40% plus return, the cash on cash return is 1 to 2% different today because of interest rates, but the overall return is greater because we're paying less and we're getting more in rent.
As the market shifts from a seller's market to a buyer's market, there are more opportunities to negotiate buying properties on your terms. And regardless of the future, seasoned investors know that they can do this successfully in up and down markets. There's always money to be made on good deals. Question, are we getting better deals today than we were when the market was skyrocketing 9 months ago?
100%. And if interest rates keep going up, you're going to be glad you bought today. And if interest rates go down, we simply refinance and increase the cash flow.
So let me put a final on this. Tyler and I have been doing this for the last 2 decades. When the market is up, we're winning. When the market is down, we're winning. And when the market goes down is actually when we win more. And when the market goes up is when you realize more. So the bottom line is, when you're buying below the median, when you're using the formula that Tyler and I have established and have been playing off of for years, we don't really care what's happening in the market. All these dramatic news shifts and what people are saying and cataclysmic shifts. We had the worst crash back in 2008. And for us, that's when we helped over 5 years our investors make over $100 million in gains on the properties we helped them buy. I'm just going to tell you right now, for us, we've been waiting for the market to cool a little bit. It is most definitely the best of times to be in the game and buy real estate right now.
When?
Now.
Check it out right now in the country. There may be 6 places that you don't want to buy, but I'm telling you right now, there are 6 markets that you 100% do want to buy in. And I got people all over the world that watch what you're watching right now, and they choose to click links below and get in touch with me and learn about partnering with me. And I gotta tell you, this is where Tyler and I, we make a sick tag team, because on the thousands of deals we've done over the years, what I do is you come in as a partner, Tyler tees up all of the amazing deals. We go in, we buy them together, we own them 50-50 together. And that means that one home over time can turn into 5 homes, over time can turn into 20 homes. You can leave a financial legacy. And you know what? Doesn't really what's happening in the market because of the strategy and the system that we use. I'm just gonna tell you that when the market is at threat rate for going down or being quote unquote hurt, or people are saying get out of real estate, that is always a counter-cyclical indication that it is the best time to buy. If you have money right now sitting in a 401k, an IRA, even equity in your home, listen, there's an opportunity cost on what you're wasting with those choices. You have a chance to access that and then put it into a superior ROI. Because I won't touch a deal unless it's gonna make a minimum projected 25%. And if it does that, and if we have every reason to believe that it can and will or exceed that, then over time, it's amazing what that compounds into. So if you're not confident in your retirement plan, if you're not confident in your financial future, if you're not confident in how you're gonna become financially independent, in fact, if it seems miserable that you're ever gonna get there, there's something you can do right now to change that. Click the link below, learn about partnering with me, and let Tyler and I let you in on the biggest secret of how we are creating millionaires. Gotta tell you, with so much inventory issues changing, they're up, they're down, they're sideways, Tyler and I, we've had to get a little creative over the years to figure out where do we go, what are the best markets, where are we buying, and recently I pulled Tyler in and we revealed the latest market we just opened, and I gotta tell you, that market today is still crushing it, and if you wanna know which one it is, click this video right here.